Welcome to a new episode of Didi Young Talks. Today's episode is a recording of a Zoom call Didi had recently with Tom Paladino in the United States. Tom is a researcher in Florida, and he has invented a machine that is capable of sending intensive healing through the universe with the help of a photo. To Didi's surprise, Tom has been successfully helping her balancing her hormones, which she thought never possible.
So, hi everyone, and welcome back to Didi Young Talks. And today I'm very, very privileged that I have Tom Paladino guest starring on my show. So, Tom, welcome. Will you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Thanks for the invitation, Dieter. About myself, I work with energy instruments. I am a scalar energy researcher, which is another term for quantum science or life force energy. And I've made a career out of working with scalar energy instruments, which is not electricity. There's two energies in this universe. And I prefer to work with scalar energy, scalar light. Some people call that chi or prana, pyramid energy. It has greater promise than that of electricity. So I'll demonstrate some of the promises and some of the benefits of scalar energy as opposed to electricity.
And when did you start to get acquainted with that scalar energy?
When I was a youngster, I was reading about the great scientist Nikola Tesla. And Tesla he fascinated me. And I realized he was the first man to control radiant energy, what we call today scalar energy. You know, you have to appreciate his engineering ability, but also his abstract mind to consider that there's another energy out there. Well, he was able to harness it. So 50 years ago, I was reading books about Nikola Tesla. Now this is a blossoming subject. Now scalar energy is now making the mainstream appearance, if you will. And this energy, this technology will change the world.
So, Tom, I had the privilege to do a 14 days free trial on your webpage. And I must say, I'm blown away. I have to tell my followers today and whoever is watching, I had hormone issues. I have problems with my the gland here. What is it called? Thyroid problems. Yeah. And I must say that you balanced it. Can you tell me, to people who are watching this, I attached a photo of myself on your website, and then I had this 2 weeks free trial. Each and every single day, I received an email from you or your team. And because I think, what are you on, Pacific or Eastern?
Eastern, yes.
So I'm 6 hours ahead of you, Tom. So I experienced the energy before I received the email from you. That was pretty interesting. And basically, every single thing that was texted on the email, I already experienced. That was interesting. Can you share?
Right.
How do we do this with a picture?
Okay, so again, this is not electromagnetic energy. So people will email me a photograph. I'm going to demonstrate just for the sake of this conversation. This is my photograph with energy. It is a source of light. Any source of light, even a photograph, has a signature. My photograph carries my signature. Some people call that quantum entanglement. So I don't work with people. I work with their substitute or their bilocated version, which is a photograph. Because the photograph seems to be quantum entangled, connected to the person. This is the new physics, quantum entanglement, quantum energy, etc. So even though you are abroad in Europe, your photograph is quantum entangled, at least to your force field, your aura. And when I work with people's photographs, I send information into the photograph. Everything I do is informational, it's non-physical. So I don't work with chemicals. I don't work with any harmful substances. So this is completely benign and safe. I work with instructions, energy, information. Information is only a positive outcome because you're not working at the molecular or at the chemical level. Now, to speak to your point, when I send instructions, many people are sensitive, and apparently you're sensitive. You can feel those instructions. And some of the benefits of scalar energy, it will balance out your hormones, male and female hormones. Some people say that the chakras are enhanced, that we can send energy into the energy field and people feel better. They're happier. Well, that makes sense because the chakras are composed of scalar energy. So if I work with a scalar energy instrument and I can download scalar energy information into the brain, the mind, and the 7 chakras, the result is people are happier psychologically. They have greater sense of mental clarity. Their chakras are balanced. And perhaps their hormonal state now is in a greater sense of homeostasis. Maybe we balanced out their hormones. All by way of information, all by way of scalar light instructions. So the audience now will consider that this energy carries intelligence.
So Tom, I'm curious here because, or maybe you don't know, I work as an animal communicator, remote client, and remote healer. So what I do is helping people via Zoom or a picture. We call it photometric. Maybe it's like 3D work or 3D method, but I can just send out my intentions or my thoughts, and I receive informations back. I write it down. It's very old-fashioned, and I send them an email, or they get my informations live on Zoom. What's the difference between what I do and your scalar energy, or is it the same?
It's the same. I use instruments. I have calibrated, engineered instruments. That's one of the instruments.
Wow.
Yeah. You can do this innately. This is a gift that you have, apparently. Now, to make this very clear, human thought is scalar energy, or chi, or prana. This instrument, likewise, can control human thought. In some way, it can harness those thought patterns and enhance those thought patterns. So what I really have delved into is the realm of consciousness. This indeed is the quantum field. It's non-physical. Many theorists have considered this as to be valid. I can prove it's valid through an instrument. I have a scalar energy instrument that allows me access into the quantum field. What you just related is your innate ability to work in the quantum field. And it's beautiful because you can communicate, you can send information, you can receive information. This is the information system par excellence. There's nothing like it. This is the universal cloud. If we have a computer, a network of computers that share information in the cloud, I have something far superior. It's the Akashic record. It's the omnipresence of God. That's what scalar energy is. It's the quantum field.
So Tom, what do you do with the picture? Do you put it on or in the machine, next to the machine? What do you do?
I actually placed the photograph inside the instrument so that the photograph now is bathed, is flooded with scalar energy. And then one of the techniques that I've developed, I can take a photograph. I'm going to show you now a photograph of a nutrient. This is a photograph of B2. And if I place a photograph of a nutrient right next to the photograph of a person, the energy of vitamin B2 is quantum entangled with the person's force field. So we can download vitamin B2 into a person, or we can download estrogen for women, or we can download an antioxidant. So the instrument only works with photographs. I take a photograph of an agent and I download it into the quantum field of a person. That's informational. It's not chemical. And on account of the fact that I work with information, the action is instantaneous and it's guaranteed. When you're working with light, light doesn't make a mistake. And this is the guaranteed light process.
So with all energy or a battery, it will go low at one point. So when we work with crystals or, healing stones, some people think we can recharge them by putting them out in the window during full moon or wash them,
Yes.
Do you have to do that with for example, B2 vitamin or B12 or?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you why. Because once I have a photograph, that energy field is set into place forever. And frankly, my photograph as a person is set in place by God, and my energy always stays with me. I don't need to re-enhance the photograph. And quite correspondingly, my photograph is always in the present moment.
Yes, I know.
Which is just fascinating. This photograph is 2 or 3 years old, but it reports my exact constitution now as we speak. My spiritual, psychological, physical constitution is reported on the photograph in the present moment. So you see how we transcend time and space. A photograph might be 2 or 3 years old. It still reports the exact moment in time.
Is it more potent, whatever this quantum energy do, rather than seeing a normal healer? Because people often go to treatments or a healer every single month, every second week. Is this enough doing this once in your life?
I would say that some people just experiment with our work once or twice and they feel that's sufficient. Others become akin to it. Others say this works and I want to experience this on a regular basis. So we have to leave that up to people. But I want to make this clear. The outcome is always guaranteed because you're working with light. There's no impediment with light. You cannot interfere with scalar light, quantum light. As opposed to a chemical can be blocked, or your emotions can be blocked, but light energy cannot be blocked. Now, how people experience this is different. You must, again, be very sensitive because, again, you're in Europe. I live in the United States, but you nevertheless could pick out the time that I wake up here on the East Coast of the United States in Florida and start treating people. Well, that's the wonderment of this energy. It always has its intended objective. You cannot interfere with light. Some people experience it to different levels, different gradations, but it's guaranteed. I can't emphasize that enough. When you're working with light, it always achieves its objective. And this is why I love the benefits of scalar energy. I can guarantee the outcome because I work with light.
I think it would be very interesting to share your story about the HIV patients you treated in India. Will you please share that with us?
Here's another photo that I'll share with your audience. This is an HIV/AIDS clinic in Delhi, India. It's Om Prakash. Now, we're working with these people pro bono in Delhi, India. We've worked with over 5,000 people at this HIV clinic in Delhi, India. And after working with them through their photograph, nobody is reporting any viral load for HIV. Everybody that's provided a testimony has told us that they feel better. Many people say their appetite has returned, that they don't have opportunistic diseases anymore. So after working with 5,000 plus people at an HIV clinic in Delhi, India, if they had a follow-up PCR test, all PCR tests are negative. No viral load, no viral load. And as the numbers keep coming in, we keep receiving photographs from this clinic in Delhi, India. I think a test group, if you will. This is our experimental group of 5,000 people who've submitted their photographs. I think someday the world will take note of this and say, yes, there's something valid here. How could 5,000 people be wrong?
What do you think it will require for the medicine industry or the academic industry to accept this quantum system?
That's a very good question. Any academia in general have to humble themselves. Academia will have to realize that there's two energies. Now, there's no shame in that. It's taken me years to figure this out and to theorize and to experiment. There are two energies. If you look at most physics classrooms today, they only consider electromagnetic energy.
Yeah.
There's another energy spectrum. There's another dimension. This is a different dimension. And once you have that humility to say, yes, there's a second dimension, there's a second energy, then we'll move forward. If you're going to be prejudicial, we're not going to make progress.
I have a theory. Here in Europe, we have several students now and youngsters who get diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, or autism. Many of these children are truly light workers. They're super sensitive. They can't handle being in the society as it is right now. So I believe there are, basically empaths and clairvoyants and angel children. I think that the new generation will force the society and the world now to be open to other methods. So my question to you are you experiencing parents that needs help to handle their children, to try and heal them for?
Yeah, we've seen marginal improvement when parents will send us photographs of children who are autistic. So for some reason, scalar energy will balance the brain waves once again, and will balance the chakras. And that seems to make some children more communicative. Now, it's certainly not the cure. This is not going to be a 180-degree turnaround, but I think we're on the right track. If I can see with my present work some type of marginal improvement with some children with autism, then once we perfect this technique, we should see significant improvement.
Maybe we should try that with my son, Tom, because I have an autistic son. I just did a TEDx about him. So maybe we should try and upload his picture.
Please.
Yeah, and I'll tell you about it.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that you're so open to this. I cannot underscore this enough. There's two energies in the universe.
I know.
And sadly, we only see 50% of the opportunity. The other energy, scalar energy, complete the picture. We'll finally have a fuller understanding of creation. And the benefits to be derived from scalar energy are incredible. Everything that we've achieved thus far with energy, nuclear, coal, electricity, can be superseded quite handily with scalar energy. It's free energy from the stars. That's where this energy originates from.
But there has to be a receiver, and there has to be somebody receiving the energy and somebody downloading the energy. Is that you, Tom? Are you downloading that scalar energy to the machine?
The machine actually will capture a scalar wave or create a scalar wave. A scalar wave is a double helix. It's the same configuration of DNA because it creates DNA. So there are scalar waves throughout the universe. The universe is suffused with scalar waves, and this instrument will actually capture those scalar waves. So we have some instruments, electrical instruments, that can control electrons, or what people call alternating current, or some type of force field. My instrument does not control electrons. I control non-physical information. I control consciousness.
Do you think it's necessary on the path that you are on to prove it? For example, study the molecule or taking blood samples, or are you on a different path where you no longer want to prove anything?
I do want to prove as best I can this science, but keep in mind, a new vocabulary has to be developed. You cannot prove the apple from the orange. If you're going to prove scalar energy, you cannot do so with electricity. Electricity and scalar are two separate concepts. So the apple does not prove or disprove the orange. Now, presently, the only way I can prove my work is when I receive testimonies from people. Because this science is so new, it's not embraced yet. And how can anybody say that scalar energy from the sun and the stars could send a signal, non-information signal, to somebody halfway around the world? We can only theorize. Now, there's no shame in that. And then there's another impediment or hurdle that has to be overcome. How can you measure consciousness?
I know. You know what? I've been written books about this. They're published here in Denmark. And the way to explain it was, we know for a fact that human beings use maybe 10 or 15% of the brain. So how can we develop a machine that is capable of proving, the remaining 75%? We can't. So I think we have sort of a hassle with proving anything in this world we live in.
Yeah. Uh, if consciousness is infinite, I think it is, that it's the mind of God, you'll never be able to measure it. So conceptually, we'll have to always consider that this energy exists. We can see the before and after results, but keep in mind, many people, especially in academia, they want to measure something. They want to see something, or at least be able to have a basic unit, a measurable unit. You're never going to measure consciousness. So right now, we're still in that conceptual phase, and we'll probably remain in that conceptual phase. And this will be a lesson to academia. Just because you can't measure something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly. So do you think that this scalar light could speed up the process for changing karma lessons? Because if I change as a person here on Earth and I'm more healed because of the scalar light, then I'm gonna pass on to the other side eventually. It's like everything went faster for me. Could you say that, or what is your theory on do you even believe in other, lives after life?
Let me put it this way, from a practical standpoint, from what I've experienced. People say that this energy has served to correct an addiction or a phobia. This energy allows them to distinguish between right and wrong. Now, how does that abet a person? How does that aid a person? In many ways, but it does seem to instruct the mind as well as the conscious between right and wrong. In the long run, is that beneficial to mankind? Of course, it's gigantic. It's gigantic. It's, if you will, it's an internal moral compass. And that's fascinating to me. And I hope people would grab onto that and cogitate upon that. Consciousness is a download of information, and it seems to be able to correct depression, correct a phobia. A phobia is a bad habit or a fear. And if it can do that, if it can correct, say, drug addiction or cigarette addiction, a bad habit, then that's the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. That's monumental.
Or maybe fasten the process of getting us to a higher frequency, becoming better people. So is this a life work or a life mission you have here, Tom?
Both. It's a life work and a life mission. And, thank you for seeing the gigantic prospect here. Imagine 150, 200 years ago, somebody would say, I've discovered electricity. And people would, muse upon that and say, well, good luck. What is that ever going to do? And look how the world now is electrified. Well, I'm saying that scalar energy will present a greater set of opportunities, and that the scalar paradigm will far exceed the electrical paradigm, will far exceed the computer paradigm. This is the ultimate paradigm, because it's fundamental information. It's fundamental light. So join me. This is going to be quite enthralling in the next 10 years. We're going to change the world with this technology.
I heard from a mutual friend of ours that you only have that one machine, because if you can do good, you can also do bad things. Will there only be one machine in the world, or will it be something you can copy with the intention of it being used in a positive way?
Right now, I'm going to control the technology because I see there's a great deal of evil and greed in the world. And I don't want to introduce this technology and have it to be used for nefarious intentions. So what I advocate is a collection, a group of people coming together who will advance this, a grassroots effort. And I won't get into the full litany, but there's some organizations out there that I just don't trust, and I won't share the information with them.
No, I totally understand that. So, Tom, what did you do before you got interested in all this?
This has been my life passion, but as a soul researcher, I've had to work for a living. I've had various jobs, and it's been my traveling companion throughout most of my life. To make this very clear, I'm not funded by anybody. This is all private research. I've done it alone, so to speak, with the help of God. And so That's one of the impediments right now. I say this frequently. There is no monetary remuneration for this. You've got to be willing to do this as if you will, as the social aspect to help mankind. There's no paycheck here.
No. So, I work as an animal communicator here, and I know that many of my followers would like to know, could they upload a picture of a dog or a horse?
Yes, by all means. Yes, please do so. And usually, and this is not a slight, usually animals respond just as fast, if not faster, than people.
Faster.
Animals are not inhibited, and animals don't worry about paying bills or their social reputation. So usually an animal, a dog, a cat, a horse, will respond usually quickly, sometimes quicker than a person.
So in my experience, I'm only, or maybe, wow, are you that old? I'm 44 years old, and I started my journey. Yeah, I was born this way with my abilities, but I truly started looking into it in my 20s. So it's been like 24 years now. And it became clear to me that I can't do this by myself. I can't work by myself alone. Do you have collab partners who are helping you to share this scalar light? Are you a lonely writer?
I work with a brilliant engineer, and I have a group of fabricators that help me to create these custom built pieces. And then that's it.
Wow.
That's it. It's a very closed circle, not by intent, but how many people really, it's such a fine science. It's such a narrow science. So let me express it that way. You're not going to read this in any textbook. It's all groundbreaking. So you have to find people who have those skills.
So if you have like a million of people who would like to try your 2 weeks free trial, would you stack their photos and put them,
Yes.
Is it
Yes,
that potent?
Yes. For instance, in my laboratory this morning, I work with 500,000 people by way of photographs. So you can stack the photographs. Now, keep in mind, you can either treat one person or you can treat a collage.
Wow.
You can miniaturize the photographs. So it's not difficult to miniaturize 500,000 photographs. And yes, I treat people simultaneously. So I treat collages like this throughout the day. And usually it totals at least 500,000, sometimes a million people. Why? Because I receive collages like this from around the world. And after amassing these collages over the years, yes, today I treated at least 500,000 people in the laboratory. So you see where this is going now. You see how a photograph transcends time and space, that 1 million people do not have to visit me in the United States. They just email their photograph.
Yeah.
This is global healing. This will be the social media of global healing someday.
Do you even think it's going to be necessary to have physical contact in the future? Let's go like 50 years from now.
Yeah. If scalar energy, I'll answer it this way. If scalar energy is a perfect information system, and that perfect information can be readily downloaded, then it will provide perfect spiritual, emotional, psychological, physical health. So the perfect tool for health will be scalar energy. And it should, if it really is this life force, godlike energy, it should be able to cure any anomaly in the future. It should be the energy to correct all disease patterns.
I love this truly, Tom. I thought a lot about HIV, COVID-19, the coronavirus, because I do think there is a purpose with everything, and all of us taught a lot about isolation, going into nature, not being able to go to work, etc., etc. And yet 3 years later, I don't think people or mankind understood anything at all. Do you think that you are interfering with God or the divine by healing people?
No, because God is all good and he wants people to be healed. And if this is one of the tools, then so be it. Now, I'll make this very clear. I always work hand in hand with God. I don't in any way want to attribute the healing to myself. I don't consider myself a healer, by the way. I consider myself a researcher. And if there's any healing, it's through God. And if he chooses to heal through this divine energy, scalar energy, then that's his doing.
Amazing. Do you have anything else you would like to share with people out there?
Yeah, please visit the website. Anybody in the world can upload your photograph. And all it takes is an email photograph, just a bust shot, just your face, and we'll treat you for 15 days. The website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, light, LIGHT, scalarlight.com. You can send in photographs of your children if you want. You can send in photographs of your pets. The key element here is to prove it to you. I want you to feel comfortable with this. I want you to experience the sessions. So with that said, avail yourself. There's no obligation. There's no game. Scalarlight.com. Anybody in the world can upload a photograph. We'll work with anybody for free for 15 days.
And I can highly recommend you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
God bless.
God bless you, Tom. Lovely to meet you.